If I was good at social media, I would have put on makeup and like did my hair, but I'm not, and I'm not gonna do that. So I just felt like recording. I have about an hour before I have to go pick up my kid from his half-day preschool, and so I'm gonna work for this hour, and I just thought I would film it. I don't know why. It's probably not that interesting, but I do have an order that is about done, well-ish. It's like all the fabric's cut and the design is printed onto the fabric now, so all I have to do is sew it up. There's a shirt and pants, and so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm not sure how long it's gonna take me. Probably not the whole hour, but maybe it will. Like, I feel like time flies when I'm working, so I'm kind of like, I don't know how long it actually takes me to do anything, so we'll see. I think I'm gonna start with the shirt and then go from there. I'm just gonna like film. I do look a little sickly because I have a cough. I think I've caught what everybody else has already caught, like that's been going around forever. So it's just in my chest though, like everything else is fine. No fever, no head stuff. It's just in my chest, and then like I feel like my eyes are baggy, but whatever. So if you hear me cough, that's why. I'm down with the sickness. Also I have my heater running over here, so that gets a little loud sometimes and all that jazz, but I'm gonna move you to where you can see. I also have my water, my Dunkin' hot coffee, and my Dunkin' iced coffee, because I can't just have one drink. This is my wrestling set with I have two different options, one with shorts and one with long pants. This is the long pants version. And it is one of my most popular designs on my Etsy. I just start by taking my cutout pieces and I just put the shoulder together. If you're curious, this t-shirt pattern is the jelly tee from Paparita Patterns. It's one of the first t-shirt patterns I've ever bought, and it's my most used t-shirt pattern. I do it for almost all of my outfits. This, and then I got a new one called Selah, which is like a sweatshirt. I really like that one as well. That's from a different company. So I got that clipped, so I'm just gonna go over to my serger over here. I've got a sewing machine and a serger, and I also have a very small 1 needle embroidery machine. So I've got all the machines. So I'm just using the serger to, I'm gonna pull my knife up. There we go. whenever I can, I really like using these clips instead of pins. I still use pins when I need to, like if there's like a tiny little thing, or it has to be like super accurate, I do the pins, but the clips I find are so much easier when working on clothes. I use the pins a lot when I'm hemming, which you'll see on this shirt. I do some hemming of the bottom and the sleeves. And then you always need a little pair of scissors to help. I've got scissors everywhere. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my sleeves. I just make sure that I'm putting right sides together. With this fabric, it's kind of hard to tell which side's the right side and the wrong side, but once you're like used to it, you can really tell. It becomes easier. So I'm just gonna add them to where they go in the armholes, right sides together, using my clips to clip them into place. I always start on the ends, like I put the two ends on, and then I stretch, I put the middle one on, and then it's easier to get it like very evenly dispersed. I find that knit fabric is very forgiving as far as like getting things completely accurate, whereas woven fabrics are a little less forgiving. So if you're gonna start making clothes, I would suggest starting with knit patterns, and then move on to wovens. Also, one thing I didn't know when I started was there is a difference in patterns like that are made specifically for knit fabrics and patterns that are made specifically for woven fabrics. So you want to make sure that you're using the correct type of fabric for the pattern. Otherwise, your seams might rip, or they don't fit correctly because there needs to be stretch, or they're too big because it's not supposed to be stretch, or whatever. So I'm always checking to make sure I'm using the right fabric with the right amount of stretch or the right amount of not stretch. I'm clipping on the other sleeve. Sometimes I just do one at a time. Sometimes I clip on both and sew them both at the same time. Just depends on how I'm feeling. Usually I'm listening to an audiobook, sometimes a podcast, but usually an audiobook while I'm working. But I just finished my audiobook last night as I was finishing up work. And I do have another one like on standby, like it's ready to go, but I haven't started it yet, so I thought I would just do a video instead. But I finished the second book of the Throne of Glass series. So I can't remember even what it was called, but it was really good. I like the Throne of Glass series. I'm not reading it, I'm listening to it. So I listened to the first one, and I really liked it, and I know some people didn't. And I'm listening to it in publication order, not in the order where people are like, oh, you should have read the prequel first or whatever. I'm not doing that. So now I have to wait because I've checked them out on Libby, the library app. And there's a hold on it, like there's a long line, and it says the next one that I can read, which is the prequel, is several months away. So I've got to listen to some other things first. The holds are so long on there, but then you get to do it for free, so you can't complain too much. Okay, so I'm gonna start sewing up the sleeves. Making sure to keep my excess fabric out of the line of where I'm gonna sew. I have before like sewn pieces that I wasn't even trying to sew into it because they kind of crept up under there. So I just manipulated it. Snip. Okay, so now we've got this, looks kind of like a t-shirt now. So we're gonna put right sides together. We're gonna sew the sleeves all the way down the body on each side. As you can see, this process goes pretty quickly. I make sure my seams are lined up. And then I make sure my, like, the top and the bottoms are lined up, and then evenly disperse it from there. If you are curious, I have this sweatshirt on my Etsy, in my Etsy store, and it just says, I wear my heart on my sleeve with a little heart, and then embroidered on the sleeve is the name of, you could put your children or grandchildren or your dogs, whatever, you know. So I just thought it was cute. Somebody asked for it, like as a custom order on Etsy, and I was like, sure thing. I made it, and then when I make custom orders, I usually take a picture and just go ahead and list it, because if one person wanted it, maybe somebody else in the world will. Okay, I'm gonna go down the other side, do the same thing, starting on the sleeve here. Make sure it's lined up. Line up the seams here. And then the bottom. here. I really like to listen to audiobooks. I like to read books. I do a lot of reading. I have a Kindle. Love my Kindle. It was one of the best purchases for me because I hated carrying around books, and so I just never read. I do like to buy books, which is a problem if you're not reading them. But my Kindle is just so much more convenient, and then I can read in bed at night without turning the light on, which is like the #1 place I do read. And then my son goes to a lot of like doctor's appointments and therapies and stuff, and so I do a lot of reading there too. And it's just easier to have a Kindle. But I have Kindle Unlimited, so I do a lot of audiobooks through there too while I'm working. Got one side done, now doing the other side. Alrighty, so now it just looks like an inside out t-shirt. I'm gonna add the neckband to it, and then all we have to do is hem the sleeves and the bottom. So it's been about, my clock on my phone says 18 minutes, and that's when I started filming. So not too shabby. I'm going to sew the neckband together like this. And for pieces like this, like bands, I do use my pens. So my clips, I got most of them on Temu, I'm pretty sure, and then some of them on Amazon. And then in the store at Hobby Lobby, they have like, or they had bigger ones. I don't know if they still have bigger ones or little ones or whatever, but so I have bigger ones as well. They just are too big for what I need to use them for. So they just stay off to the side. But these little ones are perfect for what I need them for. So I take my neckband and I fold it in half, and then I use my pins to kind of quarter it, like this is the back, this is the side, this is the front, and this is the other side. So when I go to place it on my shirt, everything lines up well, and I want it to be even and not stretched out one spot or the other. And I always put my seam, like that piece here, I always put it in the center of the back, or as like close to center as I can, just by eyeballing it. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find the back of the shirt, and then always putting right sides together. I'm gonna put that seam right into the back of the shirt. And then opposite side goes to the center of the front. Doing like an even amount of stretching. I don't want to stretch one side more than the other. Okay. So this is about the center. And then I do the same thing with each side. Trying to make sure it's evenly stretched, not overstretched, and not understretched where it's like loosey-goosey. Don't want that. Nobody wants a loosey-goosey neckband. All right, and then sometimes I will just sew this on my sewing machine if it's like a very small size, like newborn size, 3-month size, even all the way up to like 12-month size, because the neckbands are so small. But this is a size 7 in youth, so it is pretty big. And so I'm just gonna do it on my serger. It always looks nicer on the serger anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I just go really slowly for this part because you don't want to overcut it or anything. Okay, I'm gonna double check because I felt like it didn't catch in one part. And I want to make sure it did so that there's not like a hole in the neckband somewhere. It looks like I got it all perfect. So now it's basically done. Just have to hem it. And I do that on my sewing machine over here. As you can see, it has pink in it right now, so I need to switch that out for white because the pink would not match this wrestling set. So I'm gonna do that. I used this pink to make the cutest little Easter outfit. And if you check out my Instagram, I just posted it on there. And the bobbin is also pink. Oh shoot. What the heck? What is going on here? That's a mess, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, I don't have time for this junk. I gotta figure out a different way to store my bobbins and stuff. There's like, there's threads everywhere. It's a mess. Okay. Just gonna stuff you in here for now. And of course I don't know where my white bobbin is, so I'm just gonna make a new one. I'm using this Sim thread. I got it off Amazon. My machine winds the bobbins, so that's nice. I'm just gonna stick it like that. Gotta turn on the machine. Flip that over, and then go. Is done. So it doesn't take super long to wind the bobbin and get this thing threaded, but I've done it forever. So when I first started out, I literally had to use my manual every time until I really learned how to do it, and then I was still really slow at it. Gotta take a water break. All right. Got about 30 more minutes until I've got to go. So this is probably the most tedious part, and it's just pinning the hem, so, which isn't that bad, but I'm just gonna fold it. I do about maybe 5/8 of an inch, I don't know, maybe 3/4, probably closer to 3/4 of an inch folded, and then I use pins to pin it. It just holds better than the clips do when you're doing stuff like this. And I just add them sporadically, just making sure when I'm sewing it's not gonna like change the length or anything. I think hemming is hard when you're starting out, but then it becomes pretty easy. Sometimes I would rather hem than add a band, and sometimes I'd rather add a band than hem. It just depends on how I'm feeling. But this outfit here only comes with the option of the hemmed edges, so I don't want to add a band and then someone be like, what? That wasn't in the picture. Plus, it's just so cute, like, hemmed up like this outfit is. on the bottom, I usually add 2 hem lines. So, what was I gonna say? You could have a cover stitch machine which does the finishing edges, like the hems, and it makes it very beautiful. I don't have a cover stitch machine. 1, I don't have room for it right now, and then 2, with what I'm doing, like, and the amount of products I sell, it's just more convenient to do it this way, because I'm not like mass producing anything. This is just as easy to hem on my regular sewing machine, and it does a good job of it. So that's what I do. Okay, I usually start in the back just in case there's like a missed stitch or something. Usually there's not, so alright, I line it up, I back stitch, it's a couple back stitches, and then I go for it. One thing to be careful of, since this is stretchy material, you do not want to pull on it and stretch it, because then it will stay stretched as it's stitching. You just let the machine do most of the work here while controlling where it goes. I just always have a loose grip on everything. I'm at where I started, so I'm going to go back stitch a couple, 1, 2, and then call it good. So let me get these threads really quick. So this is what the edge looks like on the right side of the fabric. It looks just fine. I particularly like the look of 2 stitch lines, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go around it one more time. I'm gonna change the position of the needle, and that way it makes a different line. I'm going to backstitch 2, or however many you want to, and then go from there. And this one I try to go slower because I want it to be very even with the other line. close. Alright, I'm gonna back stitch. That just kind of secures your that just secures your thread to the fabric a little better. Okay, and now you can see that's what the edge looks like. I just think it looks more professional, which is why a lot of people have cover stitch machines, because they're very professional. All right, now I've got to do the same thing on the sleeves. However, usually the sleeves I just do one line of the hem, depending on how it looks. And I do a little bit of a smaller hem, like 1/2 inch. But yeah, I usually just do one time around. But if I feel like I didn't get it good, I will go around again. And then whatever I do on one sleeve, I'll do on the other. So it won't be like one sleeve has 2 lines and the other sleeve only has 1. I'm hoping, I think I can. I'm hoping I'll get this whole outfit done today and shipped out. It's not due for a few more days, but I usually am like a week ahead of my turnaround time. I just had no motivation to do this. I don't like doing like super big ones, like for the pants especially. It just is a lot harder, but it's not even that hard. Like, I just don't like it. It's not hard. I don't know. Ignore me. Okay, let's start going around the sleeve. There's my petal. I always lose my petal. It like wanders around. Okay, we're gonna back stitch, and then we're gonna forward stitch. We went around one time. It looks great. We're gonna keep it at 1 unless we mess up the other side or something. And I'm just cutting my excess thread. We're doing good on time. I'm just not sure if we'll get the pants done. We'll definitely get them started. Okay. It's been about 40 minutes, so I've got about 20 more minutes before I've got to leave. My kiddo's preschool is like 2 blocks away, so I don't have to leave like super early to get there, but it's also really cold outside, so I want to make sure that I can park somewhat close, so I don't have to run through the cold. Okay. one more. Okay. All right, the shirt is done. Let's take a look. We'll turn it out. Looks really good. There it is. Looks cute. It'll look even cuter with the matching pants. Okay, we'll start with this. The pants can all be done on the serger, so I only use the serger for this portion, which of course makes it go so much faster. Coffee break. Okay. The only thing that I complain about with having so many drinks all the time is that I have got to use the bathroom all the time. I carry my 40-ounce water with me at all times. I fill it up, I don't know, at least 5 times a day, probably more. Actually, like, almost guaranteed more than 5 times. Because I just, like, if I don't have my water, like, next to me, if I can't see my water, I immediately feel dehydrated. I'm not dehydrated because I drink, like, a lot of water. But, yeah, it's ridiculous how much water I drink. And then I also really like caffeine products, which make you a little dehydrated. So I really like coffee, and I like Coke Zero a lot. So I have to drink a lot of water to make up for all of that. Okay. I'm just pinning the 2 pieces of the pants like together, so, or not pinning, I'm clipping. So this is what it's gonna look like once it's sewn. So this is like the front or the back. This one's gonna be the back. If you're curious about what pattern these pants are, they're called the Stormy pants from Paparita. And normally they don't have a seam down here, but because of the way I make the fabric designs, I need to cut a seam through it. But They're very harem style drop crotch. And this was the first ever digital pattern that I ever bought online, and it is to this day my most used pattern. Almost every single outfit uses almost every single outfit that I make uses these bottoms. Of course I use other bottoms patterns, but this is definitely a go-to. It's the easiest as far as like sewing it is super easy. So like for me, time is money. If I spend 3 hours sewing a pair of pants, I would have to charge 3 hours worth of it plus the material and all of that. So this makes my clothes cheaper because it's so easy and fast to make. It's also super cute, and everybody loves joggers. Like these are like really, when you're looking for a cute fast outfit for a kid for like a holiday or an event, like this is what you're getting. So yeah, so I'm doing the other one now, just putting the seams together. So like I said, normally this is one piece, like with this pattern this is one piece, but because of the way I make my fabric, I have to make it 2 pieces. So I just sew them back together. I allow for a seam allowance there, so I'm not making it smaller. Alright, so now I've got the front piece and the back piece, and I'm going to put them right sides together, and I'm going to clip down the sides. I'm going to clip down the sides and around the crotch, like the arch of the crotch. Sew all those together. Then sew on the waistband and the 2 ankle bands, and then I'm done. So I have about 10 minutes before I need to leave. I don't know. I feel like if I try to race the clock, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. So I'm not going to try to race the clock. I'm just going to take my time. And maybe if I get this portion done when I get back this afternoon, I can do the bands, and then I will still be able to ship it off today before 5:30. So it won't be a big deal if I don't get it done this morning. It's about 10:15. He gets out at 10:45, but they start letting them out at like 10:40. And he's usually the first one out, so because they are done with him. They only go for 3 hours a day, and they start at 7:45 in the morning. So our days are just a little chaotic. And then my 1-year-old goes to Parents' Day Out on Tuesdays, but hers doesn't start till 9, so I drop him off at 7:45, and then I hang out with her until 9, and her daycare, her Parents' Day Out, is only a couple of blocks away as well, like it's just in a different direction, and so we leave like right at 9 because that's when she can go. And then so by the time I get her there and then I come back here and I get settled into work, then it's magically 10:30, time to go pick him up. And then once he gets out of school, today he's got 2 different therapies, which every Tuesday he usually has his 2 different therapies at the clinic. And then he has, then we do lunch, And then he has another therapy at home for 3 hours. And he does that Monday through Friday from 1 to 4. So we're just busy. So I only get to work when I find time. And that is hard to find. So I always try to work smarter and not harder. I always batch everything. So like if I have a bunch of orders, then I cut all the fabric at one time for all of them. And then I print all of the designs for all of them at the same time. And then I press all of the designs for all of them at the same time. And then I just start sewing. Then I package and ship out, and that makes it a little more streamlined. Okay, so you can see I got the clips down both sides, and now I need to do this inside portion here. So for the inside, I always start in the middle where the seams are so that they line up and don't look funky. I feel like I'm like very sniffly. So I apologize, but 'tis the season. Okay, got my clips. Alright, I got about 5 more minutes. Oh boy. Okay, down this other leg and then we're good to go. Ugh, boy. I'm probably going to not even start sewing this together because I'm gonna have to like stop in the middle of it, which would be silly. So I'm just gonna finish clipping and then it'll be ready for me to go when I get back at some point. Alright, it's all clipped. I turned that off because I always forget to turn it off. So now I will very quickly go phew, phew, and then phew, and then they're literally done except for the waistband and the ankle bands. So, alright. Thanks for watching. I had fun just yapping, so thank you for that. And I'll see you some other time if I get bored and don't have an audiobook to listen to.